Hey guys, Duff here. You were looking at the saddle on the V11. And if I can find the right key, we're gonna talk about what you do to fill the suspension on the V11. First thing that you're gonna need to do, if you're gonna do, you can do the bottom fill valves, the positive fill valves first if you want, because those are a lot easier to access, but we're gonna deal with the top ones first because they are a little bit more labor involved, not hard, but a little bit more to do. First, you gotta take out these 4 saddle screws. Now, yours are gonna look different than mine. I actually got these replacement screws at Home Depot just because the screws that were installed with the first batch of V11s were substandard. They stripped very easily. These fit well. I got I think they're M4.7 thread screws, and these are 16 millimeter, I believe. I just got those and a little stainless steel washer. They fit great, they work great. So I'm just going to remove those screws on either side. Total of 4 screws you're gonna be removing. Be a little careful so you don't drop it. I should use my magnetic driver. Okay, there we go. Okay, so those are out. Now, originally, when I talked about this, I said, okay, well, this is all you have to really do, because at this point, you have some flex in here and you can actually put the valve extension that they include with the wheel, which is something like this. You can put this valve extension on here and you can fill those top valves with this. However, in retrospect, and based on other information that I have learned, it is not going to be my recommendation anymore. I recommend that you go the extra step and you take off, just bear with me, I'm trying to keep you on the table here. You take off these 2 screws here that are on either side as well. Taking off these side screws will allow you to completely remove the saddle, and it allows you to do something else as well. And we'll just show you on one side, because if you do it on one side, you can do it on the other. Okay, so now this should just slide right up. Slide right up. There we go. Okay. Saddle's off. Very easy. So if you would ever break a saddle, no worries. I think you can replace it very, very easily. Okay, so now that that's off, look how easy it is to get to this top fill valve. Super, super easy. All right, let's put these screws over here so I don't lose them. Those side screws, by the way, do not feel like they're as much of a problem as those top screws. So they seem to come out quite easily. All right, so here's your valve, top valve. Now this is something that I talked about on my range test, but I never really demonstrated. This is the pump that you get with the V11. It's a gyro. There is no documentation about how this pump works. Okay, so usually with a pump, you screw it on, until it's snug, and then you start pumping it. Okay, now you'll notice right now I don't have any pressure. Well, what the heck, is my valve empty? No, it's not. Okay, I didn't have it tight enough, I don't believe. So let's try this again. Okay, it looks like that valve was actually, or that top chamber was empty, which is not what you want. The official recommendation from Inmotion is to have this top chamber at about 50. So now we're reading 50. If you're a little high, you can hit this little thumb button here to drop the pressure just by a couple PSI at a time. What I was trying to point out here was this lever here is very important. And if you don't know how it works, you will have a very hard time filling your wheel. Basically, once you screw it on, you lift your normal position will be up like this when you're attaching it. Okay, but then what you do is once you have it screwed on, you put it down, and that is there's a little lever in there, a little shoe that engages the Schrader valve, so you can add air pressure. The reason they do this, because once you have it at the pressure you want, you're supposed to push that back, and then when you unscrew it, you should have next to no air loss. Now, okay, so we're screwed back in. Now let's pop this down. Okay, there's our pressure. Okay, so right there where there's pressure, now when I push this back, the pressure remains, but I cannot fill it until that is down. And you can see, even there, I lost a little bit of pressure. It takes very, very little pressure in this top valve, and that's why you can lose it so easily. All right, so I'm gonna go just a couple pumps beyond. I'm gonna pop this up. That is supposed to disengage the valve, and then unscrew it. And I still did hear a little bit of loss as I disengaged it, but not much. So now basically, hopefully this shows up. I don't know if it will or not. So right now the valve, or the lever, is pushed down, and that's the position that you're supposed to have it in when you when you screw it onto the valve. Now watch when I push that lever out. See how the plunger in the middle or the shoe is what they call it, how that moves up when you do that. Push it back, it retracts. So that's the whole idea there. Now I think what the issue is if you attach it, if you screw this on too far, even when you retract the shoe, it can still have the valve engaged. So it's kind of like you gotta find the happy medium here where you can engage this. Okay, I'm gonna just try to snug but not super snug. Okay, so I don't have it locked on, but still I'm a little bit below 50. I still lost a little bit just in that disconnect. And so I would definitely overfill it a little bit. All right, so we're gonna push this down. That should back the shoe off. Okay guys, so I've done it a few times here, and it seems like even if I do, you know, work this lever as it's intended to be used, there is still a little bit of loss when I'm disconnecting. So my best advice would be to overfill 10 psi maybe, and just see how it feels from there. But it is definitely something that is not documented well anywhere. And I'll have a picture of the diagram that covers the operation of the pump that you can refer back to. All right, so now let's talk about the bottom fill valves. Okay, I found one way to get it off the stand when it's on a table. Instead of trying to do this and ripping my shoulder up, I put one hand there, the other hand underneath the kickstand, and that's a much more shoulder-friendly way to get the stand on the table, at least for me. Okay, so let's bring you back down here. Okay, so the valves on the bottom are covered by these. Oh wow, see that sucker's loose too. This is a potential problem here. On the pre-production wheels, this little cap was metal. This feels like it's plastic. And multiple people have reported that regardless how tightly you make this thing, it wants to work itself loose. And once it works itself loose, this is kind of what happened to Zen's wheel. Now your valve is exposed. So if a rock hits it just right, in his case, the rock drove the valve back into the shock body, you're in trouble. So I'm not sure why they did this. The metal caps that they had in the pre-production model were clearly better than these. I don't think that, I think I'm going to be looking for my own alternative, because this actually, you know, it threads on to the valve itself. So I think that's a real problem if they don't give you something that keeps this adequately protected. Now, pumping up the bottom, you can use a valve extension. The problem with using the valve extension on the top or the bottom is you probably will wind up having more air loss. Not dramatically more, but more. We're going to put the pump directly on the valve here. Now, I originally had this pumped up to between 100 and 120, I believe. So let's see what we're reading now. Okay, that's good. So it's kept it. It's at roughly 110 psi. So this really has not lost any air pressure. But again, if you want to add air, there's a chart right on the pedal on the other side that tells you a recommended range for psi on this side of the shock based on your weight. So for me, it was anywhere between 80 and 120 psi. So I'm going to add some psi here. Yeah, but I'm not going to keep it there. And then I'm going to drop it back to where it was about. Notice I have this lever out, so I can actually add air. Now I'm going to push it back. I'm going to unscrew it quickly. And right there, it lost a little air. I could hear it. Not much, but a little bit. And you're done. There you go. That's how you add air to the bottom. So basically, that is the process for filling the top and bottom valves on your V11. From there, you can just put your caps back on, make sure these are as tight as possible, or I don't know, keep them on with adhesive or something. You got to do something to make sure these don't fall off. Definitely need to do something. Put your saddle back on, put your screws back in, and you're good to go. I also did want to point out the way that this is designed. When you actually have this sitting on the stand, it's not even sitting on the pedal arms. It's sitting on the slide assembly right here when you have it on the stand. So just keep that in mind. The nice thing about this is it does work with any of my normal stands. It fits the normal width stands just fine, unlike the S18. All right, guys, so that's it. Just wanted to do a little quick video illustrating what's involved with setting the top and bottom, aka negative and positive chambers on the V11. It's not hard. Your main focus should be trying to do so without losing as little air pressure as possible when you are removing your pump. But other than that, it really is not hard at all. Really is not. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. If this is your first time visiting the channel, please consider subscribing. If you're going to subscribe, you can always hit the notify bell, which is over there somewhere, to notify you of new videos. Feel free to leave your comments, suggestions, ideas, and thoughts below regarding filling the suspension system in the V11. Compared to the S18, I'd say, well, the S18, you don't have to take anything off to fill the valves, but it is a little inconvenient. You have to kind of shove the hose in through the side to get to the top valve, so it's not exactly easy, but you don't have to take panels off, so I would say it's kind of a wash as far as difficulty goes, although with the V11 you are filling 2 sets of valves, where the S18 you're only filling 1 set of valves, so that is an advantage there. So yeah, that's all I have for you for now. Happy Tuesday. I got one more thing I'm going to do. Not sure if I'm going to video it, but until next time, Duffman out.